Okay, good morning everyone. Shavua Tov. We're continuing here in Sefer TEHILLIM, and we are beginning today Psalm 25, Mizmor Chaf Hei. And as we try to, by the beginning of each and every one of the new chapters that we have, we go through the words of Rav Foyer, who wrote a beautiful, beautiful commentary on TEHILLIM, and he always gives like an introduction to just give us some foresight of what we're going to be speaking about. And he writes the following idea. He says that in reality, this particular TEHILLIM 25 that we're about to embark upon, it's really one of the finest examples of David HaMelech constantly struggling and asking for and working on achieving what's called the Mesilas Yesharim, the path of the righteous and the just in this world. I mean, David HaMelech went through a lot. He had nisyonos, he had challenges one after the other, he had people that were chasing after him, as we pointed out. He had battles, he had successes, he had failures, he had tons and tons of different things that happened in his life. But what was the most primary source of his existence was that he always wanted to make sure that he was walking down the right path, which is something that is not easy for a person, especially when they're being bombarded by all different things. And therefore, as we'll see in the words of David HaMelech over here in this TEHILLIM, that's really all that he cared about, which was that no matter what he goes through in life, he wants that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will continue to give him the strength and the siyata d'shemaya, the divine assistance, that he's going to be able to stay straight, pure, and truthful in the path that he goes in this world. And the Radak points out, as do the others, that this is the first, and maybe perhaps the only of the TEHILLIM, or the first one that we find in TEHILLIM, that is written in the Aleph Beis order, the order of the Hebrew alphabet. And the commentators question, why is it that this particular TEHILLIM over here is written in the order of the Aleph Beis? And although doesn't seem to be a full answer to what is being said, but perhaps we can say the following, and that is that because living a Mesilas Yesharim, living a life where you are straight and you are pure and you are upright, and being able to process all of the situations, the events that are going on around you, and you'll be able to overcome the inertia of any moment and live your life the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to, that is really the Aleph Beis of life. That is the order. That is the basics. That is the basic fundamentals of life that a person is going to lead. And therefore, as we embark upon TEHILLIM 25 over here, we'll try to keep in mind that, again, David HaMelech effacingly tells us that it's not easy to be a person who's always going to live in the right path. It's not easy always to do the right thing. We know that. That's obvious. But you would think that a David HaMelech is someone that would be on such a high level of ruchnius, of spirituality, of greatness, that certainly he's going to live on that. But he recognized and he realized that unless HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be involved in his life and is going to walk him down that Mesilas Yesharim, that path of righteousness and straight and true, so then it's going to be impossible for a person to be able to achieve that. So we're embarking right now in Mizmor Chaf Hei, the 25th of the TEHILLIM, and let us begin. So I'll start with a comment over here of the Malbim. And the first pasuk says, LeDavid Eilecha Hashem Nafshi Esa. LeDavid, to David HaMelech, he says, Eilecha, to you Hashem, Nafshi Esa, my nefesh, my soul, should be lifted up towards you. David HaMelech is saying over here, one thing I want, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I want that my nefesh, my soul, should always be something that is lifted and raised and directed towards you. Says the Malbim so eloquently over here, the following. Pasuk Zeh, this verse, Hu kaitev hamizmor v'yisayda, this is like the postmark of what exactly this mizmor, this TEHILLIM, is talking about. But Yoimar, it says, Shekamoisha amar bechitzim yasim la'ais she'elav yor lematara. Just like someone who is the instructor of how to shoot a bow and an arrow. So he has the bullseye, and over there on the bullseye, he has the whole mark over there, and he's got different levels. You know, if you can picture in your mind the different levels of the circle, and in the middle is the bullseye. And that's, says the Malbim, that's the matara, that is the goal of where a person who's shooting their arrows, that's where they want to get. Kain sam es Hashem la'oisel matara el kol mevukshav v'chafetzav. So too HaKadosh Baruch Hu has also made a bullseye in this world of where He wants a person to end up at the end of 120 years. Bein hagashmim, bein aruchnim, whether it's in the physical acquisitions that a person has in this life, or whether it's in the ruchnius, in the spiritual element and content of one's life, there's a mark that we are trying to reach. And that is, as we pointed out from the words of Rafar, this is that Mesilas Yesharim, that is that straight, just path that a person is trying to reach in their life. V'amar, and that's what David HaMelech says. Rak elecha Hashem esa nafshi. There's only one place that I'm directed in my life. There's only one mark that I'm trying to hit. There's only one bullseye that I would like to find my arrows being able to drive into. And that's only one. And that's Elecha, that's towards you, Hashem. Ata ikamagmasi, you are my main desire in this world, my goal that I'm trying to achieve. There's nothing else that really matters to me, says David HaMelech, besides reaching the mark, which is getting close to you. Everything that's in my life, my job, my profession, my family, my body, my soul, everything that I have, it's all really designed for one reason. It's supposed to help me, bring me to the ultimate task and the goal that I want to achieve. And all of my desires, says David HaMelech, everything that I want out of life, everything that I'm focused in on is really for one thing. And that is, I want to get close to you. I want to know that as I'm going through the medium of life over here, and there are different things that are surrounding me on all sides, I want to make sure that my focus is in the right direction. And that is that if I will work hard, and I will make the effort, and I will internalize the lessons that I'm learning every single step of the way, so then nafshi Elecha Esa, I'll raise up my soul to you through everything. That means even in the moments in my life when I feel down and depressed, and it's dark, and it's hard, and it's not easy, and things aren't going my way, even then, I'm not going to wallow away in my self-pity. I'm not going to get down and in the dumps because things didn't seem to work out the way that I planned them and dreamed that they're going to work out in my mind. The picture-perfect life that I thought I'm going to have, HaKadosh Baruch Hu obviously has other plans for. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to mourn. I'm not going to be upset and enraged with you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for the things that are going on in my life. On the other hand, and that's what David HaMelech is saying over here is, Elecha Hashem nafshi esa, my nefesh, my soul, is always lifted and raised towards you. And in that way, I can begin to comprehend and I can understand the things that are going on around me. I can begin to process all of the details of life that are happening as we speak. I can go through, as we've been discussing these last 3 months, I can go through a very difficult period in history called coronavirus, and I don't have to go sink down into the dumps and get anxious and with angst and with consternation and be upset and disappointed and feel abandoned and all the different feelings and emotions that people have felt. You know how many shiurim have been offered online to parents to help them deal with the anxiety and the frustration and the sadness of their children over the last 3 months? Because this is what such a lifestyle does to a person. How many marriages are suffering as a result of the last 3 months because you have husbands and wives that never spent more than 5 minutes together before they were on their telephones and going and doing something else, and suddenly behind closed doors, 24/7, there's no escape. children and parents, the amount of fighting and infighting and civil wars that have taken place in people's homes over the last 3 months. Why? Because we're just simply not used to such a life where we are involved with each other's lives. Says David HaMelech, even when it's hard, my nefesh, my soul is only directed in one place. And that is, as I'm going to lift it up and elevate it so that it should be together with you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if a person will keep this in mind, that no matter what we are going through in our lives, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything that is in between, then a person will always be above the grain. They'll always be above the inertia of teva, of nature. They'll always be able to see that which is better in the horizon than being stuck in the clouds of darkness that are confounding them on all sides. And this, says David, is how he lived his life. And this Tehillim is the olive base. This is the order. This is the basics of life. That if, in fact, a person wants to accomplish, and they want to achieve, and they want to overcome all the things that are bombarding them all of the time, the only way to do it is that you have to keep the nefesh, you have to keep the soul above everything else. Because once that we get drawn in and sucked into the quicksand of this world, into the whirlpool of life that is just dragging a person down, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult to see the good that's taking place around you. However, if we're strong and we're motivated, and like the Malbim is saying over here, if a person keeps in mind that itself is the bullseye, that's the mark that we are trying to hit, that we are aiming towards. You keep your eye on the mark all of the time, and even if you miss, you just keep shooting and you keep trying to get there. So eventually, with enough practice, we have 120 years to practice our lives. 120 years of success, 120 years of failure, 120 years of mistakes, 120 years of doing the right thing. We have a lifetime of practicing our deeds in this world where we're aiming towards the mark. A person does that, so then Be'ez Hashem, they are Zeichem Yetz Hashem, to eventually at the end of 120 years look back and they'll see all the marks that are near the bullseye, whether they got exactly in the middle or not, but the goal is to get as close as we possibly can. So Rav Hirsch writes on these words that in most of the other Tehillim, when David mentions his name in the beginning, it's either Mizmor LeDavid, a song to David HaMelech, or LeDavid Mizmor, or David will sing the song. That's the inspiration is coming from within. However, over here, he doesn't say Mizmor LeDavid, just LeDavid, to David himself. To LeDavid Elech Hashem Nafshi Esa. To David, that means, that says Rav Hirsch, it means that David HaMelech is in a state of emotions and in a state of thoughts that is simply filling up his nefesh, filling up his soul right now. He's in the zone, I guess that we would call it. He's in the place in which he feels so filled with the yearning and the emotional surge of trying to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's there and he's saying, this is the way that I want things to be. Says Rav Hirsch, from these words over here in the opening verse, that Hashem, Elecha Hashem Nafshi Esa, that to you Hashem I'm going to lift up my soul. That David HaMelech is constantly being beset by dangers. He has hatred of his fellow men that are around him on all sides. Nevertheless, his heart is still set on only one thing, and that is that he wants to attain spiritual perfection. And he knows that the only way that a person is going to be able to do that is if he will consult and seek and search and find HaKadosh Baruch Hu and ask him for the guidance that he needs. Nobody will be able to reach spiritual perfection without HaKadosh Baruch Hu in their lives. It is an impossibility. Only when we invite Hashem in and we enter into His world and we think that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the creator of the universe and the creator of our neshamas, and the creator of the Torah, and He gave us all the mitzvahs, and He knows what's right, and He knows what's wrong, and He knows what's best for us, and what's worst for us, only then am I going to be able to elevate myself in a way that is appropriate. And David HaMelech, and he adds this point over here, Rav Hirsch, he knows that whatever joy or whatever sorrows he has that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sending his way, it's all being sent with the intended purpose of helping David achieve his goal in life. The good that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends us is because we need that good in order to achieve our mission in life. He equipped all of us with certain abilities, a certain brain, certain feelings in our hearts, emotions, certain talents, strengths, potential. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He invested inside of each and every one of us a world of greatness. And the reason that He gave each and every one of us our individual successes in that area is because there's a mission, there's a plan, there's a goal that Hashem wants us to achieve by, as like the Malbim says, hitting that bullseye. So I understand whatever good is inside of me, or whatever good goes on in my life. He gave me financial success, He gave me health, He gave me, I'm a Baal Chesed by nature, whatever it is that I have. All of that is because Hashem wants me to be successful in this world and utilize the positive blessings of my life for the right things. At the same time, everybody examines their life, and we do see that there are struggles, and there are sorrows, and there are difficulties, and there are hardships that are going on in my life and not in your life, in your life and not in my life. In your life, not your spouses, not your sister, not your brother, not your uncle, not your parents, not your friend who seems always, everything is always going well for them. But you don't know what's going on in their private life. You have absolutely no idea. Now, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if He wants me to hit the bullseye, He wants me to hit the mark, He wants me to live a life where this nefesh is constantly, Eilech Hashem nafshi esa, I'm always lifting up my soul to you. Why would He beat me down? Why would He make things tough? Why would He put challenges in my way that sometimes are so difficult and so hard for a person to overcome? So David HaMelech says he understands that all of those are a way in which you are going to bring me closer to you, Hashem. The pain and the effort that a person has to expend, the greatness in which they have to expand inside of their neshama to overcome those challenges that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sets in the path, that itself is the way in which I will achieve the ultimate goal, the bullseye in my life that Hashem wants me to reach. Which means if it wouldn't be for all of that which goes on in one's life, which means the things that we look at in our eyes as being negative, disappointing, frustrating, hard to deal with, so on and so forth, so then a person is going to miss the mark, they'll miss the boat, and they won't understand what they could achieve. However, when we embrace the good, which I'm sure everybody would like to embrace the good, but at the same time we embrace the difficult challenges that are there in our life, then we begin to realize that's how I'm going to grow. And that's how I'm going to hone in my skills and my abilities and my faith and my direction properly. Only through that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is constantly pushing a person in different directions, trying to keep them down the straight path. And if it wouldn't be for the stumbling, and it wouldn't be for the falling, and it wouldn't be for the hardships that a person has in their life, they would end up going off into some other world. And that's why Eilecha Hashem Nafshi. Says Rav Hirsch, unto you Hashem do I lift up my soul. I turn everything entirely to you. All of my soul's striving is directed to attain to the attainment of your nearness. And this is echoing the words of the Malbim, which is that my whole focus and my goal in life is I want to get close to you. If that is not our goal in life, if that's not something that we are thinking about on a constant basis, then we're not going to hit the mark. And we're not going to know how to utilize the situations that HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts in front of us, because we'll miss the point that this is also, this is Me'ez Hashem. I remember several years ago being in Eretz Yisrael, and it was at a time where there was a terrible, I think it was a terrible terrorist attack which had taken place in Eretz Yisrael, and the terrorist had ended up killing, if I'm not mistaken, 7 of the children of a particular family. And I happened to go to Har Manuchais to visit the kever of one of my rebbeim, and it's a newer area of Har Manuchais that's down on the bottom. Anyone that's been there, they can picture what I'm talking about. It's a newer area of the cemetery, and as I'm standing by the kever of my Rebbe, I look out and I see 7 graves standing in front of me, down a little in the distance, and it says, "Zeh." What's the passage that I quoted? Quoted a verse. I quoted a verse from Hallel, which I believe has 7 psukim, 7 words in that pasuk over there, and the verse that it said over is the following. I can find Hallel over here. It says over there the following idea. Yeah, let's see. Yes. It says in the Hallel, it says, Zeh hayoim asa Hashem nagila v'nismechavoi. This is the day that Hashem has made. Nagila, we will rejoice. V'nismecha, we will be happy by about it. And on the 7 graves of those children who were killed in a terrorist attack, on each, the graves was 7 next to each other. It's a very powerful sight, and this pasuk is written 1 word on each grave. So by the time you look past the 7 graves, you read this verse. Zeh hayoim asa Hashem. This is the day that Hashem made. This is the day He made. Nagila v'nismechavai, we will rejoice in it. That means that the parents recognized in this most difficult, painful moment in their life, their family was lost from them. Somehow they were able to find inside themselves these well springs of emunah, of faith, where they recognized that this was a challenge that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was giving them to raise them up to the highest of levels in their emunah and their connection with the Ribbono Shel Olam. And instead of writing a statement on the graves of how angry they were with Hashem and how disappointed they were in the lot that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them, what did they write? They wrote that we are going to find the good in everything that Hashem does, and will rejoice in the pain and the suffering, instead of getting angry and turning HaKadosh Baruch Hu off in our lives and walking away from Him. And this is the Yesod, this is the foundation that David HaMelech is saying over here, the way that Rav Hirsch and the Malbim and others explain. And that is, yes, of course, you are going to have hardships and challenges in your life. You cannot avoid that. But the main thing is recognize it's all Me'ez Hashem, it's from the Ribbono Shel Olam. And if He wanted it a different way, He certainly would have done it in a different way. If He wanted you to have peace and tranquility and goodness and health and happiness and financial success and anachas and all the things, Hashem would have given you it exactly that way, because that would have been what's best for you. But if anything changed from what you perceive should be ultimate good, if anything in your life doesn't go according to the quote-unquote plan that you have when you were standing under the chuppah and you say, you know, my life is going to be this, I'll go in this direction, I'll do this. If it's not that way, a person has to be makabel, has to accept that zeh me'ez Hashem nagila v'nismechava, you have to rejoice. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying that this is from me. And this is from me and it's for you. And why did I do it for you? Because I want you to be able to hit the bullseye at the end of 120 years. We don't know what that bullseye is. We don't know what that path is. We are clueless. We don't understand. And therefore, David HaMelech works out in this particular Tehillim, as we're going to see. He's begging HaKadosh Baruch Hu, just show me your path. Show me the way, so that I should understand that even when I'm struggling, and even when it doesn't go my way, this is what's best for me, because it's going to keep me moving along in that direction that you want me to be in. And therefore the pasuk says in the next one, Elokai becha batachti. I put my faith, my trust in you, Hashem. Alevoisha, don't embarrass me. Al ya'alsu oivai li. Don't let my enemies triumph over me. Once that I am this person who I reckon, I trust Hashem, everything that's happening in my life is from you. A person has to review these words 1,000 times a day. Hashem, I trust that everything that's happening in my life is coming from you. And you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you don't make any mistakes. You are perfect in everything that you do in this world. And therefore, I trust in you, Hashem, that everything that's happening in my life is perfect, exactly the way that it's supposed to be. And because that I trust in you in such a strong way, and I recognize you are the ruler of my destiny here in this world. You're guiding the actions, you're guiding the events that are unfolding in front of my very eyes. Therefore, please, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm begging you, don't disappoint me. What does that mean? Don't disappoint me? It means if I'll be makabel, if I will accept that everything that you're doing in my life is from you, and that it's all for my good, because you want to bring me on the direction that's going to bring me closer to you in everything that happens, so then help me to reach my goals that you have set down in front of me. Don't embarrass me, Hashem. Don't shame me. Don't make it that you give me a nisoyin, you give me a test that is so hard that I don't believe in myself that I can overcome it. Or I waver in my faith of you. I don't believe that you gave me this nisoyin because this is beyond what I can handle. I'm asking you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, make it something that a little bit is obvious to me that this is what is coming from you, because you want me to steig, you want me to grow and to change and to elevate myself in this world, like it says in the pasuk, Eilecha Hashem nafshi esa. My soul will continue to raise up and up and up. But if you give me a nisayon, if you give me a challenge and a struggle that I have a very hard time comprehending, I have a very hard time processing, I just can't see why would you do this to me? Do it to my neighbor. Do it to somebody else. I don't deserve this. Then I'm going to tilt off the path. And I'm not going to be able to utilize the opportunities that you gave me for the right thing. So therefore, since I'm betachdi, since that I trust in you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, all of my trust, I placed it in you. And since that I want to recognize the value in everything that you send my way, therefore, I'm begging you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, don't let me be embarrassed, which means allow me to have the insight and the sensitivity to understand how to utilize this which is before me. I mentioned this Rav Aaron Margalit in a couple of the shiurim. I remember Tehillim and some of the other shiurim. He has a book that's called As I Live. And in this book, I'm telling you, it's mamish. It's such an obligation for a person to read it. And he just put out a second one 10 years after the first one, which is all of the impact that he's been able to have throughout the world on people and their lives, because he taught them these lessons. The basic foundation that runs through every single page of this book is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is your Father in heaven. HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves you more than anybody you could imagine. And everything that is happening in your life is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves you so much. He wants to bring out the best that is there inside of your neshama. And the only way to do it is lafum tsara agra, according to the amount of measure of pain and hardship and effort that you're going to put in to allow that neshama, that soul of yours, to grow. And therefore, instead of turning back and turning away from an nisayon that Hashem sends your way, you have to take it, even as we said from Rav Hirsch many times, as a compliment. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is complimenting you that you have a neshama that's so lofty and so great that only your neshama can handle such an nisayon like that. Because if it was somebody else's neshama, Hashem would have sent that test elsewhere. And he's a man who went through the ringer of challenges, physical, physiological, emotional, spiritual suffering, that it's impossible to believe that one man could have gone through so much in his life. And yet at a certain point he shifted his view of things. He had a mother and a father, mamash tzaddikim, the koyach that they gave to this young boy, how they showed him and how they instilled upon him that you could do it and you're gonna be successful and you're gonna grow and you're gonna get married and you're gonna have children, you're gonna help this world become a better place. He believed in his heart of hearts that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was with him every step of the way and was bringing him along, taking him along, showing him what was right, what was wrong, and how he's going to maximize that potential that's there inside of his neshama. So this Rav Hirsch is saying over here that David HaMelech is pointing out, I trust in you, Hashem. I put all my trust in you. All my faith is in you. And therefore, don't embarrass me. What would embarrassment be? Embarrassment would be that if I was confounded by a challenge that you gave me and I became a person who turned off from you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as a result, that I just can't handle it. The downfall of the majority of the frum world, the downfall of many of our children, the downfall of many marriages, the downfall of many people that are just trying to keep their head above the water, the downfall is that when they find themselves in a challenge, and it is a test that is sometimes of torrential proportions over there, which are gigantic for a person to handle, and they don't realize that they have the wherewithal to overcome it, and they fail the test, what do they do at that point? They say, well, if I failed the test, then this must not be for me. And they begin to weaken. They begin to weaken in their avodah, in their service of Hashem. I know somebody that when he's up, he's up. Woo, he's up. This guy is running around doing chesed. He's learning with everybody that he can learn with. He'll mamish give tzedakah to every organization. He'll give 50% of all of his money away. Whatever he can do, he'll give it all away. But when this person is down, he is down in the dumps because he feels that Hashem has abandoned him. Now Hashem has not. He abandoned Hashem. Because if he would have realized that the challenge that he's going through right now is something that is going to make him greater, and he's going to proceed further to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then he would not be so angry at Hashem. He wouldn't be so distrustful, untrustful of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He would rather continue to pour his emunah and his bitachon and his trust in the Ribbono Shel Olam, and he would do, and again, even if a person fails, even if they fail, you can always get back up. Sheva yipol tzaddik v'kam, a tzaddik falls 7 times, v'kam, they get back up. Every one of us, kulam tzaddikim, each and every one of Klal Yisrael, we're all in the category of being shaykh, of being at least relevant to the world of tzidkus, of righteousness. And that means that even when you got an nisayon and you failed the challenge, don't wallow away in your self-pity. Don't get down on yourself. Don't call yourself names and say, you see, I knew it, I'm nothing, I'll never be anything. A person achieves and they accomplish. They overcome their shortcomings and their faults. They overcome the challenging situation. They feel very good about themselves. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes with the curveball out of left field that you weren't expecting. Sorry if that hurt anybody's ears. And you say, boom, now what am I going to do? I'm just destroyed, absolutely destroyed right now. And then a person begins to weaken. You see, I tried so hard. I tried to daven. I tried to serve Hashem. I learned this Torah. I kept this Shabbos. You see, I'm trying so hard. And then Hashem sends this my way. Well, Hashem doesn't care. Why would Hashem do that? No, the answer is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching you. And He's seeing that you're pulling out more and more and more of your strength on the inside. Hashem says, I'm going to help you along your journey. You want to get closer to me. You want to be greater. You want to be someone that's going to be a spiritual giant. Well, you need this to hone in on the greatness of your spirituality. You need this to recognize what you have inside. So don't despair. Even if you fail the test, do not despair. A person has to keep going weiter. They have to keep moving forward in life. The moment that we stop moving forward, the Vilna Gaon tells us, you are moving backwards. You can't not stand still in this progress, in this process that we are going through. You're either going forwards or backwards, up or down. You're never standing still. Right and left is already off the path. So we always have to try a little bit to move in the forward direction. And that's the next verse says, Gam, kol kaivecha, lo yevoshu. All of those who are koive, who desire, who strive for you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, lo yevoshu. Once again, they should not be deceived. They should not be embarrassed. Yevosha boigdim rekam. However, those who break the faith, those who don't believe in you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who don't follow in the pathways, those are the ones that they should be broken in vain. Those are the ones that should have embarrassment in this world. Says Rav Hirsch, and he's such a beautiful idea over here. And he says that kaivecha are people who are drawn to Hashem with every fiber of their being. And they will never forsake the Ribbono Shel Olam. No matter what is going on in life, like we know the very famous story, we've probably told it over dozens of times over here, it was the Spanish Inquisition. And the Jews were given a choice. Either you're going to convert to Christianity, or you're going to be kicked out of our country. Get out of here, we don't want to see you anymore. So those that converted, they converted. But many of the devout, God-fearing Jews said, there's no way we're going to do such a thing. You have to give up your life for such a thing. And they ran for their lives. They got on boats and ships heading into the treacherous waters over there, not knowing exactly where it was going to take them. And one of the men that was there, particularly, he was with his wife and his children. And as the time was going on, the boat ran into terrible waters, and there was a storm, a tempest that was surrounding them. And the boat began bobbling up and down, up and down, up and down. In one full swoop, his wife ended up going overboard, and he lost his wife. Then a thunderbolt came down, a lightning bolt came down, and it struck the boat and cracked the boat in half. And there he is in the waters holding on to his children, and he loses his children. And he's holding on to one little plank of wood. He just lost his entire life, and he's got nothing. And he said to the Ribbono Shel Olam in those cold, murky, dark waters, when the world was crumbling around him, he said, Ribbono Shel Olam, my wife you took away. My precious and beloved children you took away. And I want you to know one thing, that my emunah, my faith and my trust in you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that you'll never take away from me. Because that's something that I own, that belongs to me. No matter what you do, you're not going to take it away. The Chavetz Chaim lost one of his children. And when that child was nifter, when that child died, the Chavetz Chaim stood by the levaya, by the funeral, and he says, Ribbono Shel Olam, I want you to know how painful and how difficult and hard this is for me. But I'm giving you my word that all of the love that I put into this son while he was alive, and the son was older already, all the love, all the concern, all the care, everything, all the energy that I placed into my son, I'm now taking it and I'm giving it all to you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm not going to break from the nisayon that you put on top of me. On the other hand, I'm going to use it and put myself closer to you. Like it says in that pasuk over there on those graves, this is coming from Hashem, and this is how we're going to rejoice. It's painful, it hurts. Nevertheless, HaKadosh Baruch Hu did everything only to bring us closer. And therefore, if your person's goal in life is to never forsake Hashem, so then that means that he'll never be deceived in any of his trust that he has in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Which means that what? When we trust in Hashem, often we make the mistake, well, if I believe in Hashem, and I trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and my emun is so strong, so Hashem's going to take good care of me. He'll give me everything I want. He'll make the parnasa flow in. He'll make my health be very good. My family's going to be great. This is going to be good. Everything's going to be great because I trust in Hashem. So, I think I was just muted. So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving me everything, and I trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says the Rav Hirsch. So what does a person think? They think that everything should go their way. And then what happens when I don't see success? What happens when I don't see the goodness? When I don't see the bracha that is coming to my life? You know what happens? A person begins to become that irritable, grouchy old man or grouchy old woman who's complaining and fetching to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, oh Hashem, I daven to you, I do mitzvahs, I give tzedakah, I try to be a good person. How could you do this to me, Hashem? No, says Rav Hirsch, a person who trusts in HaKadosh Baruch Hu understands that success that Hashem sends our way is not measured in all the things that we acquire. It's not measured in all the brachas, the blessings that Hashem sends down to us. On the other hand, what it means is that the main hatzlacha, the main success that a person has in their life is if their amunah and their bitachon is intact, and they go through everything in their life, the good and the bad and everything in between. They go through with amunah, with faith and with trust in Hashem, and they utilize the opportunities as ways to get closer to Hashem Himself. That's success. Your business could be failing, God forbid, and you're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. But you are a maimin, you are a person of amun and bitachon and faith in the Ribono Shel Olam. And therefore you will utilize that moment in your life to daven stronger. You utilize it as a way to be mekabel the gzer, the din that Hashem has brought upon you. You use it in a way to try to figure out what could I do better in my relationship with Hashem to make things better than they are right now. I spoke to a friend of mine just the other day. I didn't even know he had coronavirus. He was on an oxygen tank. He was barely breathing. And it was 3 weeks touch and go like this. And b'chaz Hashem, he survived. And he told me, he said, I've never appreciated my life as much as I appreciate it now. I didn't even appreciate what life was all about until I was near death the way that I was, not knowing one day. He said he felt as if any single moment, it was the end of his life. He was prepared any single moment to leave this world. And Hashem made a nace. The oxygen and his wife's care and the tefillos and everything and the schusim that I'm sure that Hashem found for him, he survived. And today he's talking, Baruch Hashem, he's healthy, he's back to work, he's doing great. But he said, I finally appreciate what life is all about. We don't need to get into those situations to appreciate everything that we have. A person who's a maimin, who believes in Hashem, who's boiteich in Hashem, who trusts in Hashem with all of their heart. They see what's going on around them, and every single day, they thank the Ribono Shel Olam. They look and they give gratitude to Hashem for the goodness and the bracha that is there. And then even when things don't go my way, where I don't see financial success, family success, health success, I don't see people giving me the cover, the honor that I think that I deserve, when all of that takes place, it doesn't shake our amunah, our bitachon, and our relationship at all. On the other hand, it only solidifies it and it makes it stronger. Says David HaMelech over here, I'm asking you, Ribono Shel Olam, look at me as a koivei al Hashem. Look at me as someone who is hoping, who desires to be close to you all of the time. And therefore, lo yevoishu, I'm never going to be deceived or embarrassed because I know what the truth is. The truth is that not everything goes my way. You don't always give me everything that I want, because that's part of the challenge of life. And if I'll be makabel that, I will accept that and I will embrace that and I will live like that, So then, just like this friend of mine over here, he went through the virus and he thought that he was going to die any single minute. And now he's alive and he can enjoy his wife and his children and his parnasa and his community and his shul and his davening and everything that he has in a way that he never did before. We have to realize when we wake up in the morning and we thank the Ribbono Shel Olam that the neshama that he created, he restored it inside of me. Elokai neshama shenasata bi tohirahi. We have to recognize that our neshama was up in the Shemayim, in the heavens. It's like 1/60th of Misa, of death, as we say. And therefore, the fact that we open our eyes in the morning and we can see and we can hear and we can breathe and we can wash our hands and walk on our own 2 feet and go where we want to go and daven and eat and all the things that we do. Why shouldn't a person appreciate life every single day? And when a person recognizes that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the way that we measure success is if our emunah and our bitachon is intact and growing, then I'll realize that even the difficulties that I go through in my life, those are the ways that Hashem wants me to grow even more. And he writes that we don't compare our success to what other people in this world think success is. If you got a lot of money in this world, you're successful. You drive a nice car, you're successful. You have a beautiful wife and 2.5 children, and you go on vacations to Hawaii and the Bahamas, and everybody has a grand old time, you're successful. That's not the success that we measure in our lives, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Success is, are you kaivecha? Are you someone that desires to be close to me and working on it to have that close-knit relationship? Which means that because of your emunah, and because of your bitachon, and because of the trust that you have that everything that I'm doing is good, says Hashem, I don't make any mistakes, everything I'm giving you is exactly the way that it should be, then you're not worried, you're not angry, you don't despair, you don't turn your back on the Ribbono Shel Olam. Adarabba, on the other hand, I will grow from the situations that Hashem places me in. And it's dependent upon man's pure desire. And those who truly strive towards Hashem because they want to have His nearness. Which means, once again, my success in this world is measured in the eyes of Hashem, not in the eyes of mankind. And in the eyes of Hashem, success is how much are you striving to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu every single day of your life. That means in when you see clearly and even when you don't see clearly. But Amunah are like the glasses that enlighten us to be able to see that everything that's happening in our life is coming from Hashem. However, and that's the end of this pasuk over here, a person who is a Bigot is a traitor. Somebody who is a traitor on Hashem's mitzias, on Hashem's reality. Someone who trades in the belief that Hashem runs the world perfectly, flawlessly. Someone who trades in their emunah for the narishkeit that is out there on the streets because it's just easier and more comfortable for a person. Such a person who forfeits the nearness of Hashem in their life, at the end of the day they will recognize they gained absolutely nothing for that which they did. I know a person who told me of his father. His father went through the Holocaust, and his father was one of these people who was very angry with Hashem after the war. He had gone into the Holocaust as somewhat of a religious person, and by the time that the war was over, he decided that there was no God and the Jewish people were nothing special, and he's getting out of this religion. He wants nothing at all to do with the Master of the universe who could have done such terrible atrocities to his people. And so his entire life, from the time of the war until almost moments before he died, he claimed to be a person who was angry with God and refused to believe in God. Because how could have God done such terrible things to the Jewish people in general? But he himself, the Gehenna that he went through, the family members that he lost, and he wanted nothing to do with Hashem. So much so that he refused to give his own son a bar mitzvah. He once saw us, and they lived in Eretz Yisrael after the war. He once saw his son kiss a mezuzah. He didn't speak to his son for 1 month afterwards. You don't do anything religious in this family. He was lying on his deathbed in the final moments before he's about to go and meet his maker after all of these years. And he calls his son in, who himself already was a grown man. And he says to his son, he starts crying, he says, what's going to be? What is going to be with me? My entire life I fought against the Ribono Shel Olam. I was angry, I was bitter, I was miserable, and I tried to say that he didn't exist. But he looked at his son, and with tears in his eyes, he says, but now I realize I was wrong. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm going to go and stand before his heavenly throne. What am I going to do? A person who is a Bigot, a person who is a traitor, and they turn their back on the Ribono Shel Olam at the end of life. And again, we're not judging this man. We don't know what he went through, which caused him to believe or not believe. And he was Zeiche, Baruch Hashem, to do tshuva in the final moments of his life. And he died as a maimin, as a person who did believe in Hashem. And certainly with all the suffering and the pain that he went through in his life, who could only imagine the schus that he had at those final moments to say to his son, I'm scared, because I'm going to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who knows how he's going to treat me after the way that I lived my life after the war. That's tshuva. That brings him back. That brings him favor in the eyes of Hashem. He was a korban for Klal Yisrael. But those of us that we are Bigot, we rebel against HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We become traitors because things that go on in our life are not the way that we want it to be. We can't be civil, we can't imagine. Why would Hashem do that? How could Hashem do such a thing? How could Hashem? You're Hashem? You know why Hashem does what he does? You don't even know why you do what you do. You're so convoluted in your thought process. You have so many things pulling you in different directions. You're not even aware of all the subconscious drives that are going on inside of you. Why you treat one person in one way and another one in a different way. You know, why you took seconds or why you took thirds or why you decided today you're not going to eat at all. You don't even know why you got angry when you woke up in the morning or why you went to bed with a smile on your face. You're not even aware of all the different things that you do. And certainly if you don't know yourself, so do you know your spouse? Do you really know your children? Do you really know your friend? You're not inside of their minds. You're not in their hearts. You're not in their emotional world. You can't really know them. So if you can't know yourself and you can't know your friend, you can know Hashem. It's impossible to know the Ribono Shel Olam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is infinite. He's omniscient. He's omnipotent. He's bigger, larger than life. How could you know Hashem? So you're going to be a Bigot. You're going to become a rebel against the Ribono because you don't like what he did to you. Do you understand why he did? No, you'll never understand. But suffice to say, says David HaMelech over here, he was talking to the Ribono Shel Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I can't understand it all. I'm a human being, finite speck of dust in the spectrum of history over here. I can't understand you fully, and I never will. I won't even claim to. Even Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest Navi of all time, of prophets of all time, who spoke panim al panim, face to face to the Ribono Shel Olam. Hashem came to him any second of the day and brought him prophecy. Even Moshe Rabbeinu could not fully fathom and understand Hashem, and Hashem told him, nobody can understand me and live. So you're a Bigot, you rebel against Hashem because you don't like what he did to you in your life? That's rebelliousness. And that, says David HaMelech, you will be embarrassed as a result of that, because if you begin to walk away from the Ribono Shel Olam, because you don't like what he's done to you, and then all your questions, oh, he did this, he did that, does he really watch, does he really care? How could you know? How could you know HaKadosh Baruch Hu? How could you know his essence, his depth, the amkus, the deepness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shechina, how he makes decisions? Hashem is planning everything all of the time. He's making decisions that impact the entire universe and all of history. You could understand that? Impossible. Says David HaMelech over here, someone who is a Bigot, someone who is a traitor against Hashem, they rebel against HaKadosh Baruch Hu. At the end of the day, Reikam, they will be empty. They will miss out the emptiness of all the things that Hashem put them through to make them greater and fill them up with more emunah. and more dveikis, more close to Hashem, they lost the opportunity. And as a result of losing the opportunity, as a result of missing the boat, so therefore they walk away reikam. Because as he writes over here, no person can ever derive lasting satisfaction that he expected to receive from all of his hard work, unless he recognizes that things are going to go according to the Ribbono Shel Olam. Imagine a person takes all their money and they think they corner the market and they invest it in a business, they mortgage their house, they sell off their jewelry, they sell the stocks, they take it all, they put it into the business, for sure, this is going to work. And 3 months later, 6 months later, the business goes bankrupt and the guy lost everything. So he has one of two choices. Either he can say, Gamzu l'taiva. I thought, now I realize HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who runs the world. It's not me. It's not my smarts. As I thought I cornered the market. It's not me. Or I could say, Ribbono Shel Olam. How dare you? How dare you? I daven every day, I put on my tefillin, I do chesed, I give tzedakah. I took all my money and invested in this business. For what sake? To support my family, give tzedakah to other people. How dare you do that to me? That's a bigot. That's rebellious. And that rebellious person will become reikam, they will become empty. Because they could have utilized the opportunities to grow and get closer and be stronger in their emunah and their bitachon in Hashem. Instead, they walk away with emptiness in their hands. Not just that, distance that they have created between them and the Ribbono Shel Olam. And the distance is harder and harder to bring yourself closer to. We go farther back, how are you going to get close? The farther you are from Hashem, the farther He looks to you. And then you start seeing in your life, you don't see the Ribbono Shel Olam. Says Rav Hirsch, the way that he's explaining the words of David HaMelech over here is that our life is to be kaivecha. Our life are to be people whose desire is to be closer to Hashem, to be enveloped in His Shekhinah, to be enveloped in His lofty ways, His holiness, His sanctity, to be someone who is always looking and hoping to be able to see a better image and vision of Hashem, why He's doing what He does to our lives. And in that way, then we grow, we steig, we elevate ourselves, like the first verse is, Eilecha Hashem nafshi esa, my nefesh is going to be elevated, rise up above all of this. If, Chalila, God forbid, a person takes the opposite approach and they rebel against HaKadosh Baruch Hu because we're not happy. Hashem didn't do things the way that I would want Him to do things. Who are we to tell Hashem what to do? Hashem knows what's best for us. He knew if it was supposed to be different, it would be different. And because that this is the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did it, that means this is what is best for you. And that's how you're going to be a kaivecha, you're going to get even closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in your life. So we're just embarking on Sam Chaf Hey, on the 25th of the Tehillim that we have over here. And we have to keep in mind, as the Malbim says, there's a bullseye, there's a mark that we're trying to achieve in our lives. And we've got to keep our eye on that mark. Again, we're not always going to hit it. And we might never even hit directly in the middle. But we're going to get closer. And the more that we recognize and the more that we hone in our emunah and our bitachon, the more that we work on understanding ourselves and trying to understand the ways of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the more that we're makabel, that we accept that everything that Hashem is doing is all good and He doesn't make mistakes and it's all for the best. And that's what's going to make me the greatest person possible to elevate the godliness and the godless, the greatness that is there in my neshama. Then even if we don't hit exactly in the middle, but at least we'll get close to the mark, and that itself would be something that would be an incredible nachas in the eyes of Hashem. Have a wonderful week. If anybody has questions, I'm happy to stay online. Otherwise, we'll see you in Yetz Hashem by some of the other shiurim this week. Anyone? Maybe we can unmute people. You're welcome. You're welcome. Have a wonderful week. Shavua Tov, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Shavua Tov.